Everybody, I thought I'd come to you today with a tutorial video. This is my first time doing an actual tutorial video, so please bear with me. I'm going to show you today how to take an image on a stamp. For instance, I have this stamp set here with these flowers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to, 1, stamp, 2, how to emboss. Then I'm also going to show you how to color the image with colored pencil, and then I'm going to show you how we use Gamsol and blender pencils to blend out our colored pencil image. So bear with me on this, okay? So these cling stamps you take off of the sheet, okay? They just peel off. You take them and stick them onto a clear acrylic block like so. Okay, they stick on, okay? You get yourself a piece of paper, your acrylic block, and an ink pad. This particular ink pad that I'm using is called VersaFine. This ink is a black ink that stays wet for a while after you stamp. So you take your cling stamp, you stamp it into the black ink, okay? You can see how it's nicely coated there. You're going to take it and you're going to stamp it down onto your paper. You're going to apply even pressure. You don't need to do CPR on anything, push down hard, but you do need to do an even pressure. Okay? Once you do that, let me move this out of the way so I don't get my fingers in it. Once you do that, this ink will be dry for several minutes, be wet for several minutes. So you're then able to take something like, say, an embossing powder. Embossing powders come in all different colors. They come in all different textures. There's a big wide variety out on the market. I have hundreds of these things in my office here. But what we're going to do is we're going to take, this time around, since I stamped in a black ink, we're going to take a clear embossing powder. Okay, this is one I use a lot. This is clear embossing powder, and it's kind of like a sugar. And you take your paper and your stamped image while it's still wet, and you run it through the embossing powder. Okay, you can see it's sort of sugary looking, sort of granulated looking. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take an embossing gun. This is an embossing gun. It's kind of like a hairdryer except for that it gets hotter. And what it does is when you turn the thing on and you run it over the image, it gets really, really hot and sort of bakes the granulated embossing powder and sort of hardens it and makes it into a nice raised image. So let me go ahead and I'm going to show you using the heat gun how this works. Sometimes I like to call this magic because it's amazing to watch it just all of a sudden turn into this solid glossy image that's raised. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that with the heat gun. It's kind of loud, so just bear with me. As I'm doing it, you can see the image turn glossy instead of granulated. This means that your area is embossed. Okay. It only takes a few seconds to do it if you get your heat gun nice and hot and started before you apply it to the image. Okay, so now this image is dry and it's raised and textured. So that's called embossing. Okay. What I usually like to do then is I like to get out my nice big set of Prismacolor pencils. I use them a lot because I like the wide variety and the look that colored pencils give you. Let me just move that stuff aside and I'll show you my pencils here. So here I have a big box of pencils, colored pencils. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil here and I'm going to start coloring the image. And it's good if your colored pencil has a nice big point. Other times you want it to be a little bit more blunt and not as sharp as this because you get a different effect. But for the beginning part, what I like to do is I like to take my pencil and I like to start just coloring the image in. Okay, nothing fancy. Because we embossed this with clear embossing powder, the edges here are raised. And so when I'm doing this, it's like coloring inside of a well. This sort of acts as a border when I'm coloring and prevents it from going outside of the area. Okay, so I go ahead and I'm going to color that in. Okay. All right. Now, sometimes when you color with colored pencils, you tend to get little streak lines and stuff in your coloring. To prevent this from happening and to making and from making it look so choppy and I don't know, sketchy, I mean, unless you like that look, you can use a product with colored pencils called Gamsol. I bought this over at Hobby Lobby, and it is an odorless mineral spirit. And what you can do with this is take the Gamsol along with these paper blending stumps. I also bought these at Hobby Lobby. They come several to a pack. And basically they're rolled up pencil paper pencils. What you're going to do is you're going to open up the Gamsol. You're going to take your paper pencil. You're going to dip it into the Gamsol. Okay, so you get a little bit of Gamsol on there. And you're going to take it and you're going to apply it in a circular motion over the area that you want to blend. What this does is it breaks down the waxes in the pencil and causes it to sort of act like a smoothener. It sort of smooths the wax. Okay, so then once you've done that, you can sort of see the difference between the two. This has a little bit more lines and streaks. This is more blended and softer. Sometimes it makes the colors pop brighter. So as you mess around with it, you can get different effects and things. So this is one of my favorite ways to color stamps. Color in stamped images. It comes out soft looking and it looks really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring this. After I'm done coloring it and I have it the way I want it, what I'm going to do is just take a pair of scissors and I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this. So what I'm going to do basically is cut this image out. A lot of these stamps nowadays come with dies, which are little metal things that you can put over the image and run it through a little hand crank machine that will cut the image out for you exactly, so you can save time from having to do this. They can be a little pricey though, so sometimes you have to tough it out and just fussy cut the image like this. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that fussy cut out real quick for you. Now, fussy cutting is time consuming, but in the end it looks really pretty. Okay. There you go. So once you have the images cut that you want to use, you could go ahead and take a card blank. So let's say we wanted to put this on, I don't know, let's say on this image here that I made earlier. This is something that I just took and did some sprays with. But anyways, you'll take your image, and what you would do is you decide where you'd want to put it. Okay, how you'd want to put it on there. Take your adhesive. You could use any kind of glue. Put glue all over it, and then stick it down. And there you go. You'd have a nice flower image to put on a card. So I hope you enjoyed that little technique about how to use embossing, heat guns, colored pencils, and Gamsol. I hope you like this tutorial. Hopefully they'll get better as I go along. Talk to you later. Bye.